So thank you all for being here. This is a Guild member benefits webinar. So we're going to go over some of the wonderful benefits that you get as a Guild member and make sure that everyone is aware of the different tools and resources that we provide. So to start with introductions, my name is Drew Malmuth. Again, I'm the community manager here at the Guild. I handle primarily the networks that the Guild provides. So we'll go over that a little bit later, explain in more depth what our member networks are. But I help foster networking amongst Guild members. And I also work on some of our publications, including Guild Notes and some of our communications. And I'm really happy to introduce my colleague, Rangsi, who I'll ask to just say a little bit about her role here as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rangsi. I'm the Membership and Operations Coordinator here at the Guild.
And how long have you been here, Rangsi?
5 months.
It feels like she's been here years. She's so integral to the team. So here's a brief agenda for what we're going to go over today. We're going to discuss a little bit the Guild vision, mission, and values. Some of you have seen this before, but I think it's important just to set the context for where the Guild has come over the last few years in establishing our vision, mission, and values language. And that really undergirds everything we do in terms of providing member benefits. So I'll go over that. Then Rangsi will give us a little bit of an overview on who our members are, break down in some of the data, and we'll invite you to ask any questions you might have about what our membership looks like. Then we're going to get into the meat of things, which is the value of membership. We'll go over some of the online tools and resources, some of our key initiatives, as well as some of the networking, which I mentioned. And then we really want to leave a big chunk of time for that Q&A. It's a relatively small group today, which I think is great because it will give us a chance to have a discussion, bounce ideas off of one another about how to use member benefits, and really dig into the specific needs of your member organization. One of the wonderful things about the Guild is we are a big tent, but every organization has different needs within arts education, so we want to make sure we're addressing those specific questions as well. So we'll leave a lot of time at the end there for Q&A. So our vision, mission, and values. I'll let folks read the vision and mission on their own, but I did just want to address how we came to these 4 values over the last few years. I started the Guild in 2015, and right around that time, we were starting to have conversations about how our vision, mission, language, and at that time we didn't have explicit values language, but how our vision and mission language express what we were really trying to achieve and the impact we were trying to have in the field. So we conducted about a 2-year process of investigation with staff and board and with some outside voices as well from our members, from our Guild ambassadors, from other constituents, to really think about what is the change that the Guild really wants to see in the world, and how are we going to achieve that. And a big piece of that for us was identifying our core values as an organization. So through all of that work, we came to leadership, equity, creativity, and community. And those were instituted officially in 2017. And really, we are always considering how these values are interwoven into the work that we do, to how we engage with our members, into what our programming looks like. So the values are really our due north for how we conduct our programming and how we engage with our membership. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Rangsi, who's going to give us a little more data into who our members are. Rangsi, you got to unmute yourself there.
I keep forgetting I'm on mute.
There you go.
So yeah, we've grown pretty large with 432 current members right now. You can see that the majority of our members are actually full members, meaning that a lot of us are nonprofit organizations that provide arts education or revolve around providing arts education. We have a few education affiliates. They do pretty much the same work, but are for-profit organizations. They don't have the nonprofit status as yet. We're spread across 46 states. We actually have one in the US territory as well as one in Ontario, Canada. And a majority of our organizational members are actually small organizations based on their budgets or their division budgets under 750,000 in terms of their operating budget. We do have a number of mid-size and large-size organizations, large being 2 million and over in terms of their budget. And across all our members, we have some over 100 community art schools and over 100 arts and cultural centers. Some of our members joined in 2010 or even earlier. Actually, one of our members here today, I found this book from 1946 that has the Cleveland Music School settlement, who's been around with us for that long. We do have members currently that have been around since our founding in 1937 even. And we have a wide range of disciplines. As you can see, there's a large number of members who do work in music, mainly because we used to be a community schools of guild for community schools music. But ever since 2010, right, Drew? Yeah, 2010, we've been
2008.
2008, I'm sorry, since 2008, we've been incorporating a lot other disciplines.
Great, thank you, Rangsi. Does anyone have any questions just about the makeup of our membership before we dive into the good stuff? All right, great. Thanks so much, Rangsi. All right, so before we get into some of those tools and resources, I just wanted to point out that the current Guild website is a brand new website. We launched a couple months ago, and this was really a long-term project in trying to think about what would be this new space for Guild members to come and learn. The Guild, because it's a national organization, a lot of our interaction with our members happens through our website, so we really recognize that our old website was inhibiting some of the interaction that we wanted. It was inhibiting some of the learning that we had hoped to see from our members. So we really sat down and thought about what is going to be an online tool that's going to take us into the future of supporting our members. So first and foremost, we want a new design. We wanted one that fostered creativity and accessibility and joy. We wanted to display our members in a way that made people really excited about community arts education and could exemplify what this work means on a day-to-day basis. So we went with big images, as you can see, and as we go through the website, you'll see that our members are featured throughout. Their photos are featured throughout with links to their listing in our member directory. So we really want to honor and showcase the work of our members through the website. And then another big piece of this redesign was considering how our members would be able to access information and also be able to tell us, the Guild, about new people that had started at their organization, new trustees that they might want to access our resources. So in the past, it's been difficult for member organizations to really use the website as a way to spread around what the Guild provides. And we really wanted this new website to be accessible in that way. And Rangsi is going to go through all of the details about how folks can do that, but through the website now you can add any team member that you think would value our resources, and you can do a number of other things that really help you take them, get the most out of your membership. So with that, I'm going to move over to the website and just take us through some of the key components. So this is the homepage, and one of the first things I'll point out is, as a member, when you come to the homepage, the first thing you're going to want to do is go through the login process. You can browse the site just as a public user, but when you log in, you're going to have opportunities to engage with the content in a way that you wouldn't otherwise. So I'm going to just, as an example, show you here what it would look like to log in. Rangsi in a bit will go over, if you don't know your username, if you don't know your password, a lot of folks might not. So Rangsi in a little bit will go over what that looks like and how to troubleshoot if you're having problems logging in. But for the time being, I'm going to mimic a longtime member of the Guild and just show what that process looks like. So now I'm logged in as Jose, and you can see our image changed. And now you can see Hi Jose up here at the top, and a number of options of engaging with the back end of the membership. Does anyone have any questions? I know Rangsi is going to go over more details about that later, but just top level, does anyone have any questions about that process? All right, great. So let's get into some of the really core elements of the website. So first, I'm going to show you all the member directory. So this is a really, I think, a great piece of the website, a great piece of Guild membership, and it's not always utilized to its full extent. So I want to make sure everyone understands how it works and the value that you can get out of it. So this is essentially a directory of all of the Guild members. We have 423, you can see here. And within the directory, you can search, you can find member organizations, and that generally happens through this search filter. So as an example that I like to use, if you are considering starting up a new program in creative aging, for example, or creative youth development, and you want to know who are some other organizations in my area, in my state, that are Guild members that are doing this type of work, this might be a really great way for you to do that. Or if you're going to a conference in Cleveland and you want to see what are some Guild member organizations around that I might be able to visit, that I might be able to learn from, this is a resource for that. As a member, you'll see I'm still signed in here as Jose. As a member, you have the option to filter by budget. The public doesn't have access to all of these search filters, but members, once they're signed in, can filter by budget size, which is also helpful if you want to find folks that are in that same range because you're dealing with similar problems. That's one way you can approach that. So just an example, let's say you are looking for an organization in California that works with public schools. So you might apply those filters, and then we have 28 members that work in California and are working in the K through 12 space. So say you're going to California, you want to maybe talk to some of these folks. As a member, you have the option to download a contact list. So this is essentially a way that you can have a specialized contact list of Guild member organizations. When you do download this Excel spreadsheet, you'll get a list of all the organizations as well as contact information for the primary contact at that member organization. So you'll have the email of somebody that you can reach out to who has made themselves available to connect with the rest of the Guild network. And just to show you a little bit of what it looks like once you dig into these profiles. So this is an example of a member directory profile. This is Artworks LA in Los Angeles. And you'll notice that as a member, you can see who this primary staff contact is. You can see the budget size. You can see where they are. And each member organization does have one of these listings. It's a benefit of membership. So if you are a new member or are just sort of learning about this member directory, you can go check, find your organization, and if you want to update your logo, other information about your organization, Ranks is going to show you how to do that in just a minute. But all of this is controlled by the member organizations, and it's a great way to showcase who you are. And folks do use this. Parents use this. People that are just trying to figure out what's going on in the field of arts education use this. Funders use this. So it really is a great way to have yourself be found. All of this is Googleable. I'm not sure that's a word, but it's all scannable. So it runs through Google. So if folks search your organization, they might get your listing on the Guild website. So do make sure that all your information is up to date and that you're presenting what you want folks to see when they look up your org. So I'm going to pause for a moment and just see if there are any questions out there specifically about the member directory. No, I think we're good. All right, let's move on. Okay, so now I'm gonna show everyone the Resource Center. So previously, we had an iteration of the Resource Center that was, it was robust, it had a lot of resources, but it was a little more rigid in terms of what the categories were. So we had leadership development, we had marketing, and then we had a bunch of resources under that. So for this Resource Center, we really wanted a space where we could put everything that the Guild produces, a lot of the resources that we've gathered from our member organizations, and just put them all in one place. So I will preface this by saying that this is kind of the first launch of the Resource Center. So there are hundreds of resources in here, but as we go, where there are going to be more phases of updates to some of the resources that are available. So the next phase is going to involve a lot more of the templates that our member organizations have produced, MOUs that they might have with a school district, for example. So there are things that are still being filtered in, but right now there's a huge base of resources that are there, and really the core piece of content that we thought our members would value are there, but there's always more that's being added. So I'll just preface and start with that. So the Resource Center, just a basic overview. When you go to the homepage, you have all of the resources here, and from these tiles, you can see the type of resource that it is. These are all webinars here on the first page, but there are a number of other types. And right now I have leadership development chosen, but I'm just going to go back to all formats just to show what that looks like. So as I said, there are other types based on color. So you have the PDF documents, and you also have the webinars, and there are other formats as well that you can find throughout the Resource Center. So the way that you navigate it is really just by selecting your interests and then selecting the format that you're trying to look at. So for example, if you were working in creative youth development and you wanted to watch a webinar, you'd apply those filters, and you might get to this screen. So these are all the options within that search filter. And you can see here, a lot of these are starred as members only. And I will click on one of those, for example. It might just take us a moment. So this is what it looks like once you get into that resource. So because I'm logged in as Jose, I have this button here to access the resource. If you weren't logged in, that button wouldn't be available to you. It would say log in to access. So if you do get to this screen and there's a gray box, just make sure you're logged in, and then you'll be able to get that resource. So if you clicked on that, it would take you to this webinar, which talks about the different models for creative youth development practice, gives you a lot of resources, and was a really popular webinar for us. And then you can see down here, it's also tagged creative youth development. So if you're on this and you're thinking that's not quite right, not quite what I want, but I want to stay in this vein, you can click on this tag and it will take you to any other resources that are within creative youth development. And then over on the side here, you'll see a feature that is really embedded throughout the website, which is related content. So this is generated, and we'll show you other things that are related to this type of resource. So I'm going to quickly go back to the home page, and I just want to stop for a moment. I know that's quite a bit of information, so I just want to make sure everyone understands how to use the Resource Center, and everyone is aware of what they might be able to do with it. Any questions? All right, cool. Okay, so now I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Rengsi, who's going to take us through what you can do on the back end through our membership portal.
All right, so I apologize ahead. My section is going to be very dry, going over just how to log in and how to find your way around the back end. Like Drew mentioned, not many people will actually remember their username and password. Maybe it's been a while since they logged on, and we haven't exactly allowed anyone to change their passwords previously, but now that's a function that you can actually do. So first time logging in, there's two ways about it. When you're first on the page and you're looking for the member login button, it's actually up here. Alternatively, it's also down here at the very bottom of the page that you can click to. Once you're there, you just have to enter the username, which is your email that was listed when your membership was affiliated with your organizational membership. And enter your password here, and then just click login, and it'll log you in on the back end. Nothing will change in the front end. You'll see the home page just with your name at the top here. If you don't remember your password, you have the option to reset it by clicking here under recover your password and just entering your email and click reset. If you're not sure whether your account is active, or if you do have an account with us on the back end, there's two ways to go about it. We have something we called a organization admin, who is either your primary contact or a secondary contact, who has the ability to add your login to the membership. Or you can just email membership@nationalguild.org. and I will get back to you as soon as possible about creating a login for you. Once you're in there, there's actually two types of membership that I mentioned. Membership account that I mentioned. One is the organization's admin, and the other is a regular membership. So an org admin like Jose here will actually see all these options whereby they can go in and manage their organization profile, add people into the membership, and manage their user profile. As a regular member, you would only be able to see manage user profile. Oops. Sorry, I will go over that later. The org admin, as Drew mentioned, is able to make changes to your organizational profile. This is actually what will appear on your membership directory. It will list who the primary contact is and who the secondary administrator is, as well as details such as your website, all social media links, your profile. Also, you can upload your logo here, and details such as your primary disciplines, secondary disciplines, and even programs offered, so that it makes you searchable on our membership directory. Your organizational budget is here, so membership fees is based on this. You can update it every year, or whenever you see that it needs an update, you can just come here and do it, as well as when your next membership end date is. Here, under Manage Users, org admins can actually add people to the organization. You can also see who's already in there. As you can see here, there are several people already affiliated with the organization, which means that they would have a login. And if you need to update and remove anyone, all you have to do is just select no longer affiliated, and then scroll down all the way to the bottom and click submit, and it will automatically update your list of members. If you want to add anyone, just click yes, and it'll create a blank field for you to add another contact and create a login for them. Here's the section that everyone can see, which is the managed user profile. You can't change your username. That means that if you have an update in your email gets updated because you changed the domain. And then you would have to contact membership@nationalguild.org, and I will have to change it from the back end for you. But now you have the option of changing your password. So all those strange numbers and letters that you have to remember is gone. You can change it to something simple that you can remember. Can change details here, as well as any contact details that changes. And here under preferences, so this is where you can make selections of topics that are of interest to you and networks that are of interest to you. It's something that we gather so we can cater better to our members. And that's pretty much it on the back end, and I'll pass it back to Drew.
Great, thanks, Rangsi. So if folks have any questions about the administration of their membership or anything along those lines, feel free to reach out to Rangsi or myself, and be happy to explain a little bit more, walk you through some of this back-end stuff. So I'm just going to stay on this for a moment and talk about these interests and networks. So I really encourage all of you to go in here and make sure that these checkboxes are updated, and encourage your staff to do the same. These interests currently, by checking them, will tell us what types of communications you might want to receive. They'll tell us what types of events you might want to take part in. And in the future, in future iterations of the website, this is going to really help trigger your experience on the website, what types of things you see, what types of events that you're shown. So this is really a way for us to have a profile of who our members are and understand their interests better. And then the networks is also really important, because by choosing a network here, and I'm going to talk about this, is going to segue into discussing what our member networks are and what we hope to achieve through them. But just keep this in mind, these checkboxes, because once I talk through the networks and you maybe see one that you might want to engage with, this is where you would come to affiliate with that network. So as these networks grow and pick up momentum, we really want to make sure that each member can say, yes, I am a part of that network. And this is exclusively for our members. Anybody in the public can know what the networks do, and potentially attend some of the events, but the vast majority of our network programming is reserved for our members, and we target our communication specifically to those who sign up through this portal. So I do encourage you all to do that for yourself, and to encourage any other people within your organization that have Guild membership to come and to check those boxes as well. All right, so with that, I'm going to move into networks, just to talk a little bit more about them. So we currently have 8 national member networks, and we are expanding to 9 soon, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But some of you, if you are at an organization that has been with the Guild in the past and now you're just learning more about your membership, you may remember we used to have what are called chapters. And for those in New York and in the Northeast, we still do have chapters. And if you have questions about that, you can feel free to contact me. But the way that we generally serve our members across the country are through these 8 topic-based member networks. So a few years ago, we found that some of our regional chapters weren't always meeting the needs of all of our members. They were concentrated often in large cities. To have in-person convenings was sometimes impractical just because of space and time. So we heard from our members that what they really wanted to do was connect with folks who were doing similar work, who maybe had a similar budget size, who maybe were working in the same type of programming environment. So we took all of that data and created this series of networks, which has been expanding since the launch. We started with 3 in 2015, and now we've expanded to 8. And this year we'll be launching a new one for creative aging, which will support organizations that are either trying to break into that space of serving older adults, or who already are and want to connect with others and learn a little bit more. So I'm just going to quickly go through these networks, show you what they are, talk about their mission, and then I'm happy to answer any questions that folks might have about the network activities. So I'm actually going to start down here. Oops. And on our website, all of the networks are listed here. You can find more detailed information. But I'm going to start with small schools. So this network is designed to support organizations under 750,000. And we know that's not an exact science of figuring out what's small and what's large, but we wanted to create an opportunity for organizations in that budget range to learn from one another and to share challenges and successes. And what you'll find on each one of these pages is the network mission. In some cases, there will be more specific goals. There'll be an opportunity to stay up to date. If you, as a member, it'll prompt you to sign into the member portal to affiliate with the network, but others can just join our email list to learn about what's happening. You'll see the ambassador for the network. You'll see some of the highlights. So this is events that have happened in the past, things that the network has done recently. And you'll also see some of the network-produced resources. So the Guild produces its own programming. We do a webinar series that I'll talk about later. We do our conference. We do our Leadership Institute. But we also look to our networks to produce programming that's really tailored to that topic area. So most of the programming comes directly from the ideas and from the inspiration of our ambassadors or of the folks who are part of the network. So it's a really exciting way for us to diffuse some of the decision-making about our programming and to put it in the hands of folks that are doing this work day to day. Then you'll also see related content at the bottom of each. So that's our small schools network. Quickly go through the others. Large schools, as Renxy mentioned, is organizations above 2 million. Just as an example of some of the programming that gets produced, our Large Schools Network just did a webinar recently that was with McPhail Center for Music, and they talked about their digital marketing strategy. So they had on the consultant that works with them on their digital marketing, and they talked about how they are using Google Ads and all of the different tools that are available for digital marketing to really drive recruitment, to drive retention, to let people know about who McPhail is. So this was produced entirely by our Large Schools Network, designed for member organizations, and that lives in our resource center if anyone wants to watch the recording. Next one is our White Advocates for Racial Equity Network. As I mentioned, equity is a core value of the Guild, and that includes social and racial justice. So we started a couple of years ago these networks that are designed to support folks that are looking to advance issues of racial equity, and this one is specifically designed for white folks that are looking to do that work. We have our Arts and Education Network, which is designed to support organizations working in the K-12 space. So they have held in-person convenings around the country. They've held webinars and video chats that help folks with the basics of partnering with a K-12 school, but also with some more in-depth discussions around curriculum design and other facets of the work as well. Collegiate Divisional Network is designed specifically for organizations that are divisions of universities. However, it's also been a niche for any organization that's a division. What really distinguishes this network is they talk about some of the problems that are inherent in having a parent institution, some of the problems and benefits. So it's those institutions within the guild are somewhat unique. They're not independent. They have that parent institution that often has say over their budget or their programming. So this is a space for them to talk about those issues. We have our Creative Youth Development Network. And for those who may not know, Creative Youth Development is essentially the intentional integration of youth development principles with arts and creativity. So this term is one that's been around for a little while. This practice existed for decades and decades of people working in communities, supporting youth and using the arts to do that. But Creative Youth Development, or CYD, as you might hear it called, is an umbrella term that tries to unite the organizations that are working in that space. And this network is for practitioners that are trying to advance their work in CYD. You'll notice if you are interested in CYD, I encourage you to read this paragraph. Our network right now is essentially tied to work we're doing through the Creative Youth Development National Partnership, which is a partnership we have with Americans for the Arts and the Massachusetts Cultural Council. So a lot of our learning happens through that space. So this network functions slightly differently currently, but if you are interested, I encourage you to come to the page and read more. We have our Emerging Leaders Network, which is designed to support anyone who sees themselves as an emerging leader. We don't define it super specifically. We want anyone who sees themselves in that label to be able to join in this programming. So this network might talk about what it means to be an emerging leader at a nonprofit organization right now, how emerging leaders are often looked to advance difficult conversations at an organization around race, around changing technology. So it's a really, I think, a wonderful space for anyone who's an emerging leader, but especially young leaders, to connect with one another, to learn, to build their capacity. So if any folks on the call are an emerging leader, or you know of other staff members on your team who might benefit from this network, please do point it out to them. Then finally, our Artists for Racial Equity Network. This name was recently changed. It used to be our Lana Network, and they recently rebranded. Excuse me. But the goals have stayed similar. This network is designed by leaders of color in the field to support leaders of color in the field, to help create more of a pipeline for opportunity and for the success of leaders of color working in arts education. All right. So that is a basic overview of what our networks are. And as I said, they'll often hold video chats, webinars throughout the year. And those webinars are reserved specifically for our members. And then I'll also point out that they have a session that happens at conference. If for any of you who may be coming to our conference in November, each network will have dedicated time during that conference on Friday from 12 to 1:30 for everyone to get together, to connect, and to plan out some of the impact that this network might have over the next year or so. So that was quite a bit of info. So I just want to pause for a moment, see if anyone has any questions about our networks before I move on. Nothing?
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Tracy.
I saw that for creative aging, it's a future network. What's your timeline for that?
So the first meeting is going to happen at the conference.
Oh, okay.
So I'd be happy to share, some more specific details with you if you want to get in touch. But they'll be meeting. There's a session at the conference for the network,
okay.
And it'll launch officially after the network. There may be a convening before the end of the year, but I'm not sure. But yeah, you'll hear more. We'll send out an official email once it's live.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. David, yes, you can join as many networks as you want, no limit. And yeah, you just check as many as you want within that member portal, and we'll make sure that you're getting all the information about those different networks. And all of these overlap, obviously. So we do encourage folks to join as many as are relevant to them. And I'll also say that a lot of these networks are always looking for new people to not only step into leadership roles, but each of them has a steering committee as well, differing in size depending on the need of the network. But if you are really excited about one of these topics and you want to be more involved in kind of stewarding a national conversation around this work, please do get in touch. We're always looking for new folks to step into steering committee roles and to share their voice. Another benefit of membership is just that we look to our members to lead national conversations, to be on our webinars, to also to help us as we're thinking about how to do this work. So if one of these networks really seems exciting to you and you would be interested in a leadership role, please do reach out to myself at the Guild, and I'd be happy to have a conversation about that. All right, looks like so we had a so David, you can join as many networks as you want. That was to me privately. David, let's talk. We can connect after the webinar. So I'm going to move on from networks for now and move on to our conference. So this is our marquee program, and this, for the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about programs that the Guild provides that aren't exclusive to our members, but members have special privileges within those programs and can take advantage of them in unique ways. So our conference happens every year in November. This year, it's going to be November 14th through the 17th in Baltimore. And members, let's see if I'm going to go to the right page here. So you can see the prices and policies. Members do get a deep cut on registration pricing. And the conference is really, I think, especially for new members, is an amazing space to connect with what the Guild has to offer. We leverage a lot of programming that comes out of the conference for other activities that we do throughout the year. It's over 700 folks come from around the country who are invested in this work, and it's a really it's kind of a magical space, to be honest. A lot of folks tell us that it kind of feels like coming home. So I do hope, especially if you're a new member, that you get an opportunity to come. If not next year, not this year, then next. And be sure if you're trying to find ways to save, be sure to check out this page. There are a number of discounts. And there's also this year where we are past the deadline for applying to be a volunteer, but in the future, if you did want to attend, volunteers can come for free, and we always have financial aid for travel and for just general support. So take a look at that if you're interested, and if you have questions about the conference, you can always reach out. Next, I want to talk about the Community Arts Education Leadership Institute, CALE for short. This is another one of our core programs, and it's something that happens every year. It's an 8-month program. 1 week of that 8 months is on site at Bryn Mawr in Pennsylvania, usually in July. And this program is really designed to support folks in community arts education who want to improve as leaders, but it's not so much in an arts management, from an arts management lens. It's more from a leadership development lens. So identifying your core values, identifying your strengths and weaknesses as a leader. A big part of the process is doing a 360 feedback survey, which is administered by us. And essentially what that means is we ask a number of your peers to reflect on you anonymously as a leader. And then while on site at CALE with the support of facilitators, you go through all that data, you work through it, and try to understand how you can improve. And then there's a number of really I think remarkable activities that happen during CALE, a lot of processes that I think change the way people look at leadership. And there's a deep price cut for our members to take part. And anyone who does take part in CALE, there's an alumni network that they'd be a part of afterward. So CALE is a really rich program. I am not doing it justice just talking about it now, but I pointed out just so folks who are new to the Guild understand that it's there. And if you are interested, I encourage you to think about applying, to reach out to us if you have any questions. It's a really, it's a remarkable experience for the folks who go through it. there are about 25 people who participate every year, and we're now at over 225 alumni and growing. So I encourage you to check out that program. We talked a little bit about creative aging, but this, and as I mentioned, that network will be launching, but that comes alongside the work that we're doing through our Catalyzing creative aging program. So for the last, there's been 2 cohorts now announced, but this program is one we partner with Lifetime Arts, an organization in New Rochelle, New York, who really specialized in supporting arts education organizations launch and improve their creative aging work. And we talk about creative aging. It's really not just one-off sort of ad hoc programming for older adults. It's really the same type of sequential, purposeful learning that you might see for a younger population, but for folks that are 55 or better. So our relationship with Lifetime Arts and through generosity of funder Aroha Philanthropies, we're able to provide the Catalyzing Creative Aging program, which takes on, for the first phase of the program, let me just go down here, takes on 20 organizations that come to the conference, go through a Catalyzing Creative Aging Institute, and receive technical assistance. And the second phase is a seed grant that allows organizations to launch new creative aging programs. So this is really designed for, we want to spread the pool of organizations that are doing this work and that have up and running creative aging programs. So the second phase, which is 10 organizations, if they're accepted into that, will receive seed grants. The applications for this year have passed, but I encourage you to learn more about the program and check in when other applications might be available for upcoming iterations. Now I just want to touch on our online learning series. The Guild, because we're national, we do a lot of our learning in the online space. So we'll regularly hold webinars, video chats that are designed for our members that often come from what we hear from our members through surveying, through the conversations that we have as we travel around the country. So this is really a way for us to provide in-depth learning with some of the experts that we work with, and to kind of have an arc throughout the year. So we might start out with leadership development, but then move into creative youth development. So it's really a way to showcase sort of the breadth of learning that we provide. On this page, you can go to the events section, and you can also see the series highlights. So I'll just go quickly to the events page just to show. So we have a couple of webinars that are coming up that are part of that series. We have one called Supporting Youth-Led Activism Through Creative Youth Development. So this is about if you're doing creative youth development or want to do it, how your program can support young people as activists in the community. And then we have one also upcoming that is going to talk about the Declaration on Equity in Music for city students. So that's just an example of some of the programming that falls within that online learning series. You'll notice this one is a members-only event. Some are open to the public, but many of our webinars are reserved only for our members. Some are, there's a fee involved for those who are not members, and they're always going to be free for our member organizations. So I encourage you to keep an eye on the events page and see if there's anything upcoming you might want to take part in. I'll quickly talk about Guild Notes, which I edit, and it's near and dear to my heart. So if I wax poetic about it, forgive me. So Guild Notes is produced 4 times a year, and it is a publication designed specifically for our members. Only our members receive it. It's a benefit of membership. And this year, we actually sort of tried out a new format where each issue is centered around a particular theme. So we have a leadership issue at the beginning of the year. We had a fundraising issue. Next issue that's going to come out soon is an equity issue. So if you're a new member and you didn't receive these in the mail, you can download the PDFs. And if you want physical copies, you can always reach out to us and we'll be happy to send them in the mail. But once you join, you get added to that mailing list and you'll just start receiving them regularly. And there are articles in there that talk about important issues facing the field, toolkits. A lot of them are very practical and tool-oriented. So for example, we had one recently, the Corporate Giving Field Guide, where Kat Bloomfield just laid out, if you're considering relationships with corporate partners and want to build those, what do you need to know? What are some of the steps? And there are a number of other really, really valuable articles that have come out of Guild Notes. Each one, the full PDF will be here, or back issues, you can contact us, but each PDF each individual article is also spliced out of the issue and is included in our resource center. So you'll often see PDFs in there that came originally from Guild Notes. And then finally, I'm going to touch on the benchmarking data report. This is a report that we do every 2 years in partnership with Data Arts, which is now part of SMU. The goal of the benchmarking report is to gather specific data from community arts education organizations and to showcase it in a way that's going to be useful for the field. Community arts education is relatively niche, although it is a big field. It still has specific needs, specific pieces of data that aren't gathered by other practitioners. So for example, how much you pay your teaching artists, and other things that are your teaching artist majority contractors, or are they full-time staff? So things that are unique to the work that we do. The report provides some median data around that, and is really just a benchmark for future planning. For if you're going through a strategic planning process, this can be a great starting place. When the benchmarking report is happening, which will happen in 2019, we reach out to our members and say, please take part, please share your information. And if you do that, the report is free. After the fact, if you did not take part, Guild members can buy it for $100 and non-members can purchase it for $175. And if you would like to purchase the most recent one, you can contact programs at nationalguild.org. So really quickly, I'm just going to point out the job board as well. As a member, you can post to our job board for free. This is one of the most visited pages on the Guild's website. It's a resource for anyone that works in arts education. And it's really a great way to get your job postings out there. We share also this job post information in our member e-bulletin, which is sent out every 2 weeks. That includes news about the field as well as new job postings. So if you are a member and you want to post a job on here, you click here. It gives you instructions, but essentially what you do is send us a PDF or a Word document and just let us know that you'd like it to be posted, and that's it. That's all you have to do as a member. So that was quite a bit, I know, a bit of an onslaught, but I'm just going to pause now and I'm going to open it up for questions. If anyone has any questions about what I just shared, any specific questions about how they can take advantage of their membership, the rest of the time is yours, and Ramsey and I will be happy to answer anything. Nothing. Everyone just knows exactly how they're going to take advantage of membership, clearly. Yeah, absolutely. We encourage you to use the logo. A lot of folks will put it on their website at the bottom, member of the National Guild. We also, Ramsey, we send folks a sticker in their member packet, is that right?
Yes, so for new members, I do send a sticker for the door, the glass door, or just the door, our decal, I think that's what it's called. I do send 2 of them to new members, but if yours is old and you need another new one, just let me know. We do also send the logo itself, the picture, the GIF file, in the welcome message for new members, but if you need me to send another one, just let me know.
Have you ever considered website hosting for members? That's interesting. I'm not sure I know exactly what you mean, but currently, no, we have not considered that as I understand it. But that's interesting. If you have more questions about that, yeah, collaboration with G Suite. So the short answer is no, not that I know of, but we're always looking for new ways or maybe new ideas. I'd like to know more about how that might be beneficial for you, David. So let's be in touch. Anyone else? All right, well, looks like we might get you folks out of here a little bit early. If you do have any more questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Ranksy or anyone at the Guild at any time. It's really, I think part of the reason that I love being at the Guild is that we really take supporting our members seriously, and we really look to you all as our source of inspiration and as our source of data for how we're going to move forward in the field. So thank you all for being here, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future.